All right. I'm guessing I'm fully live at this point. Good morning to all of you that are watching this video. I want to talk about some tips that you can focus on for when you first get a harmonica, what to do. Now, if you've already picked up the harmonica and it's been a minute, you might find some valuable tips in this as well, because many times we overlook these things. So maybe what would be cool is to actually start with talking about talk a little bit about what not to do. Just a couple things from the top of my brain. So let me open YouTube and get to my channel so that I can see if there's any comments that end up coming in. So one thing that comes to mind is here's something to consider. Again, we're talking about before we jump into what to do first, let's talk about some no-nos or things that you maybe should consider not doing right out of the gates. For example, you might not want to buy a ton of different harmonicas all at once. You might want to try one harmonica for a little while before you decide to venture off and try the next one and the next, as you try to figure out what is the harmonica that's going to work best for me. Because there's different styles of harmonicas, obviously, tunings, there's different components like plastic versus wood, and all these different manufacturers that make harmonicas, so they're each a little different. I say go slow in that process. I think that also could be said for the amount of keys that you collect right in the beginning. So here's something that you could do first is pick up a C harmonica, and then maybe the A. Those two keys will take you quite far in the process of getting started on harmonica playing. The other thing you might not want to do is play this thing with a lot of force, which leads me to the first sort of what to do when you first get it. People talk about breaking in harmonicas, and I absolutely disagree with this. You do not need to break in a harmonica if you're breathing properly. So if you've learned how to breathe properly from the beginning, you will never harm your harmonica. You do not have to try to break it in. I think it's better to think of it like people say go easy or break it in. It's really about not overstressing the harmonica more than going too easy, go super easy. So a lot of people pick up the harmonica first and they're just jamming a lot of air, usually from their chest. So go easy. Focus on something simple. One thing you can do right out of the gates that you would think about as almost like a little meditation to get started is learning something rhythmic and playing as gently as you can. So when you first get a harmonica, instead of thinking I have to break it in, just relax with it and breathe from the diaphragm. We're talking about, this is G harmonica I'm holding. I would often play things like, and that came from my first teacher. That's a little tuck-a-toodle, tucka on the inhale and tootle on the exhale. And this is nice because you're gaining breath awareness. The first thing you really got to do is just have a nice connection with your instrument. That means the breath and the embouchure too. No tension, just everything relaxed. If you want to become ultra sensitive, which I think you do, to your instrument so you can respond almost to what you're playing, respond to the instrument's sound, it takes a nice gentle breath. Another thing you could do, let's just talk about the do list, focus on it. We said rhythm, learn something just basic and focus on gentle airflow. The next thing you really want to do with your harmonica is understand how you're going to be holding it. Maybe that's really step one, though they kind of go together. So holding the harmonica in single notes and breathing are kind of your beginner orientation for the instrument. So I'm going to show you my relaxed hand position. I've shared it before, but I think it's an important one. It just looks like that. Let me back up. Looks like that. I leave these kind of curved like that and just sort of get the finger a little bit of an arch. This finger right here. We've talked about creating more real estate on the top of the harmonica, and that's a great way to do it. And that's it. Just finding the comfortable hand position where the hand is relaxed. A lot of people start like this. If you look at my old videos, I was playing with a stiff, straight across finger approach. Don't do that. You don't want that. It won't serve the rest of this tonal shaping and sound shaping that you want with the second hand. So And it's occurring to me now, I have a full-blown beginner's course if you want to go deep into beginner's topics. Any beginner topic, it takes you through 4 classes. So you can work on these sort of simple approaches at first. The next big thing is getting single notes, but why just practice single notes, clean single notes, when you can really focus on trying to play a song right out of the gates? So one of the biggest tip of this whole video is be musical from the beginning. It's fun. It's very experimental. I get it. You're exploring and finding new sounds, but learn a song. The song is the best way to understand the next step. If you learn one melody, like mine was Oh Susanna, it's teaching you about where those notes are located and helping you figure out the next first position song you might learn. Hey, good morning, everybody tuning in. I'm just yapping here. Good to see you. I'm going to be gone for a little bit, which is why I wanted to pop on today to talk to y'all and hang out. Hey, Pete, good morning. And there's a username. I don't know if I want to try to pronounce that. I don't want to mess that up. Good morning to you. And Charlie, what's up? Got a member here. Good to see you. I like it. The jaw harp and the kazoo are the gateway drugs to harmonica. That's cool. I played a jaw harp first before I found a harmonica, I believe, or around the same time. And I can't find mine now. I used to have like 3 of them. It's really cool. You can work on breath control with that too. You can do some really cool things with the jaw harp. So, all right. So learning a song, use so you're combining something. You're trying to be musical while you're developing a skill like single notes. It's all about getting acquainted with it on a very sensitive level. Figuring out like what's the least amount of air I really need to get the technique or sound, and understanding that usually most people are putting more force than needed. So if you're just new to harmonica, or you're wondering what my brain thinks are these sort of initial what to do first, it's all about getting acquainted to what it takes to move, to create the sound you want. So you can explore with the dynamic range, quiet to loud. Just breathing in and out on the chord from quiet to loud, and then exhale, quiet to loud. You'll find quickly that there's not a big jump in air to get to the loud end of it. It just takes a tiny bit of an adjustment. Yeah, that's a good point. Thanks, Matthew, and thanks for being a member. If you guys want to learn more about memberships, just click the join button underneath the channel here, and it'll pop up. It's a great way to support me, and there's some cool perks on those higher tiers. Yeah, getting acquainted with the higher holes, I think, is important early on. Maybe not step 1, but I do agree that sooner than later. So, because if you don't, you tend to avoid playing the high end of the harmonica, not knowing what to play, or your technique is off and it just feels like the notes don't cooperate. So again, it always comes back to relaxing the embouchure and breathing easy. That's how we get the best sound of the high end. And you can do that. I've talked about simple ways to get acquainted with the high end through the pentatonic scale. On a G harp, it sounds like this from 6 to 9. You can ear train that if you have a G harp. By the way, the third one would be a G harp. If you got the C and the A, you'd want a G harp next. I would. Prakash, that's cool, man. All right. Yeah, you might have heard spliff. I don't know what I said. Who knows? I've said all sorts of things on this channel that I didn't mean to say. My brain is moving faster than my lips can keep up. So getting acquainted, and step 1 means like maybe doing also some research on the types of harmonicas I mentioned earlier. There's so many different types. Don't go out and buy every key, and here's another big one. Don't go buy the cheap set. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Like, it's so tempting to be like, but I can get 7 harmonicas or 12 harmonicas for like $40 or $35 or $50, whatever it is. Yeah, but the quality of those harmonicas will not last you, and you can't really explore the capabilities of the instrument on those cheaper harmonicas. You want something, I'd rather have one good harmonica than a set of kind of cheaper, not so great harmonicas. So I say get the C and the A, splurge, get them if you have a tight budget, try to get like a special 20 or something in that range that puts you closer to $40 to $50 on the harmonica, and just collect them slowly. And again, be musical out of the gates. Just because you're a total beginner, let's say you have no experience with music, does not mean that you cannot find something musical like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. And it might sound like this at first on the G harp. It might be like, not perfect with the single notes, but if you can find where the sounds are, you're learning about where these notes are. So those are some of the first steps that I think of when I think of, like, if I could give myself advice when I had first picked it up, it's like go slowly. And the other big thing is finding direction musically early on in your playing. That means coming in with some sort of enthusiastic mindset about the music you might want to play. For me, I already knew it was blues. So that was the direction I wanted to go in. And I was listening to a bunch of great harmonica players that I couldn't figure out what they were doing, but my brain was absorbing all the sounds, the techniques and the phrases. You're learning even if you can't do these things. It doesn't mean you're not learning because you're listening to something more advanced. You're just not able to do it yet. All right, so what else we got? What's up, Shane? So my day is the next 2 days are packed here, and again, I just want to come on and just talk about this stuff. I think that it's a good reminder. And by the way, if you're sitting there going, "But I'm an intermediate player," too late. Not really. Most players overlook steps. If you really want to like advance, if you're stuck in your playing, it's because you missed something along the way. You missed some sort of like basic step, or maybe not too basic, something along the way in the order of operations in your playing that didn't allow you to attach other high level things to that, if that makes any sense. So I think that's kind of a thing to evaluate. You have to do a lot of self assessment. You have to be very self aware. How do we do that? We record ourselves often. Audio record, video record to watch your body. Shane's putting up videos all the time. I don't know how active Shane is on his YouTube channel. I have not been there in a second, but I watch him through Facebook's Modern Blues Harmonica. This idea of putting yourself out there, you're learning so much from the feedback you get from people, but you're learning from your own videos if you self-assess and adjust. Zen Trucker, what's up? Special 20s are excellent. I totally agree. So Charlie got 3 Rocket amps on sale. That's a pretty good price right there. That's a very good price. A, C, and G. Yeah. Rockets are another one I would recommend. Rockets, Special 20s, especially for beginners. There's something nice about that. Try a plastic comb first. Don't think that that's going to be too cheap. So those are the tips today, everybody. Take your time. Have a relaxed mindset. Approach things easier, gentler than you might think. Slow roll the energy. Don't let it all just come out and kill the reeds. If your harmonicas are always going flat and you're still a beginner, that's normal. Unfortunately, that's fairly normal unless you're tuning in to me. I would tell you, hey, that's totally avoidable. It's all breath control. If you attack from the chest, that note, the 4 draw is like the first note that will just start to go flat on all your harmonicas. And you're like, I bought 3 in a row and they're all flat. Well, check the way you're breathing through it. You're putting a little too much air in from the wrong area, from the chest versus the diaphragm. So just go easy on these things. The quieter you can bend a note, the longer the harmonica will last, and the better it sounds. And so let's talk about this before I go. Let's talk about what Charlie said. Get the free bendometer. This is a visual aid that allows you to see where you are, how low you're bending, if you're accurately bending to the right note. And I would say, while it can be very useful, what would be more useful than the visual aid is to go back to the note that you're trying to play on an instrument and repeat it over and over. Let your brain hear the note it's trying to go for. So if you're really stuck and you need to check it, yeah, it can be cool. You can check it and be like, okay, I'm getting it down, but then put it away. Use it as like a tire pressure gauge or something where you're checking it real quick, looking at the number, and you're done. Don't sit there and live and die by it in front of it, playing it. You'll get trapped needing that to get to where you need to be. It's not a visual instrument, meaning we don't see anything. The visual stuff happens in our mind. You really need to hear it. So just repeating it on a digital piano app on your phone, or if you have, even better, a keyboard, something you can sound out the bend that you're trying to aim for. That is the best way to do it. Four draw left mid song last night. That'll happen. And especially in the heat of the moment, we're playing often too hard on these instruments. So you got to learn how to relax when the energy is high. You still have to, bring it back a little. In fact, just make it an exercise to do what I'm doing. Just start jamming a little bit. Try to, if you can improvise a tiny bit, and just see how quiet you can play it. I'm just playing so quietly. I wish I could, like, it's harder. I don't know if it's hard to tell how quietly I'm playing, but I'm just playing just enough to get this instrument to react. Um, yeah, Charlie. And the thing about it is, just a good last thought on the bendometer, is that it's a visual aid. Use it just sparingly if you're really uncertain. I don't think it's a terrible thing to use it. Don't have it out while you practice, is what I mean. Get your ear to be able to tell you whether you're on it, and that means repeating that note over and over on a chromatic instrument or a reference in a scale, like if you have the scale sound in your head. I was always good at kind of hearing it and then remembering the recall of the sound I'm hearing, so I knew what to aim for. But if that's not you, you can break it down into just a single note, like. You're just trying to match me on your G harp on the 3 draw. Can you find that note? And how quietly can you play that half step bend? So those are my tips today, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with me. There's some great stuff coming up. In fact, I'm headed to North Carolina. Shane's going to be there too. It's coming up at the first weekend of October. I'll put a reminder link to that in case you are a spontaneous individual and you want to check it out. This is an in-person event hosted by Todd Parrott, the Carolina Harp Fest, and it's full of classes and live music and tons of opportunity to get up and play and jam and obviously socialize and meet other harmonica players, meet us, the instructors, and hang out, get some one-on-one time to just chill. It's going to be a blast. I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope that some of you will consider checking it out, even though it's kind of last minute. We're getting down to the wire. Yeah, putting the context in a melody is a great way to do it. That's why, though, once you get into second position playing, especially, we have bends in first position on the bottom, but in second position, we can't really avoid them at any part of the harmonica. It's like we need, other than the pentatonic scale up top, the bends become much more important on the low end, though. That's not true. I shouldn't say that. First position has loaded with bends on the low end, but most people don't play that first. They end up getting into second position. So you can do it by the pentatonic scale. Let's say you're working on 3 full step. Let's take that idea that was just put out. We could do it in a scale and just hear that. Da, ba. Or a melody, of course, like any cross harp melody. That's what I meant to say, is that first position melodies are usually learned in the beginning, in the middle of the harp, where we don't need bending. That's why I said that. And in second position for those melodies, we almost always need at least the full step bend on the 3, if not other notes. I don't really have any tips for you on the tongue block bends. I can do it. Here's one tip. Just focus on more of the throat than the tongue. Even though the tongue is moving and changing the shape, focus right here. Focus your attention on the throat. So you get these weird sounds without the harmonic in your mouth. But it's like I can shape the tongue like a pucker thing, but it's really a throat feel. And then ask yourself, how bad you really want it. Are you going to go for it hybrid, full time? What are you going to do with it? Be specific with that, because if you're just chasing it to chase it, you know what I mean? Like what's the point? Are you going to stop puckering when you bend? Are you going to try to eliminate that? Ask yourself why. Is it a tone thing? Make sure you're really committed to what you're working on. Otherwise, it's pointless. You won't get there. For me, I do very minimal tongue blocking with bends, but every once in a while I definitely target the 3. That's an area that can sound really good tongue blocked with that dirt. But you can get nice big tone as a pucker player, so don't worry about it if that's what you're worried about. All right. Appreciate all of you. I look forward to connecting with some of you in North Carolina. If not, I'll see you soon online. There's some great stuff coming up. Adam Gusso and I are doing a class together here soon. It's coming up next month. I want to say it's like around October 19th or something like that. And it's going to be about 8-bar blues, and it's going to be incredible. October 19th. So I'll put a link to that class. It's on sale now through the end of the month. Don't wait if you think you want to go. Everything's recorded. You don't have to be there live. You can just catch those recordings. And thanks to all my members. Appreciate you checking out this channelship. Channelship? I made up a new word. Channelship. I like that. Channelship. Membership on this channel. Thank you. I appreciate all your support. I hope to see you soon.